Greetings, family. This is Kyle Dixon here for another post. This post is in reference of certain strategies for education. Some of you all may know that I've been an educator close to 20 years, but for those who do not know, I'm going to share some methods with you that I've used throughout my years of teaching to help my students to get through certain reading and certain comprehension barriers as far as their skills. Now, one of the things that I always say in my classroom are that leaders are readers, or vice versa, readers are leaders. And I want to facilitate those skills within my classroom because I want my students to be leaders, not just for the world, but for themselves and their learning aptitude. So, these things I want to share with you today deal with reading and comprehension. And there are five things that good readers do that I'm going to share with you. And one of the first things that good readers do is visualize. They visualize their content on what they're reading, i.e. they're reading a fiction novel, they may be reading a newspaper article, and if there are no pictures or photographs or illustrations within the story or the article, then typically your brain tends to go into a place where you start to visualize, you start to conceptualize certain things that are happening within it. And these are the things that readers do because it allows them to engage into the text. And if they're not engaged into the text, they're skipping over words, they're not paying attention, and things don't really matter to them. So with them being able to visualize it, it's their mind's eye, kind of like a movie in their own brain. And that's very important. Now, not all text you'll be able to do that with, but for the most part, when we talk about the task test, we talk about a lot of high school literature, things that students tend to do or not do, but they need to do more of it. All right. The second one is, of course, to comprehend, which is a given, right? If you're reading something, you want to be able to recognize what words that are in front of you, the definition of those words, the context of those words, whether it's literal or figurative, how does it associate with the story at hand, does it associate with a certain character. So as the students are reading, some of them are having trouble comprehending, and that's because they're not able to recognize some of the strategies or some of the things that are going on within the story. Is it a character change? Is it a word that they may not be familiar with? And if that's the case, then it kind of goes to this third thing, and that is reread, right? Reread. So in reference of the rereading, typically when the students have to reread, they go back over either the word, the phrase, or the sentence maybe 2 to 3 times. Now, hence what I tell my students is, don't go over it more than 2 times, right? No more than 2 times. Why? Because time is of the essence, especially when you're referencing a testing or a quiz or just an assignment in classroom. You typically have limited time, depending on if you're in a charter school, public school, whatever the case may be. You'll have limited class time. So in that case, it also allows you to reread it up to 2 times, then move on and trust that the text will allow you to understand what you're reading. Because sometimes you get caught into a section part of the story, and it may not be thoroughly important to understanding what the overall story is about or what the character is involved in or what's going to happen. So again, only 2 times you should be reading, all right? So the next one is foreshadowing. So in reference to the foreshadowing, that comes, of course, when we're predicting within the text. Some people may say foreshadow, some people may say predicting. But really, in the case of a short story, you might want to know what the character is about to do. We do this all the time in in real life, right? We look at someone, we hear someone, and depending on how they talk or how they move or what actions they've previously done up to that point of us engaging with them, then we can maybe predict on what they may do next, right? So if a character is in the story and we know that they hate dogs and then they kick a dog, right? Just randomly kick a dog, right? I don't advise everybody. But if they randomly kick a dog in the story, then we can maybe foreshadow that if he sees a dog in the later part of the story or the next scene of the story, that the character might do the same. So these are things that we always use in everyday life, but it's just applied to situations within a text, right? And last but not least, right? Last but not least, we also question. You also question the story. Now, again, this is everything that you do definitely in everyday life. Question things. What's going to happen? Who's doing it? Why is it going on? How did it happen? Where are we going? Where is it happening? All right. The who, what, when, where, why, and sometimes how, right? Questioning in the text. And that also allows you as a student or as a teacher to allow your students to engage in the text, right? It kind of goes into the foreshadowing, they kind of link together. And with their questioning, it allows for not only what is in the text, but what is not. So sometimes the questions that you're asking yourself while reading are those things that are not actually answered in the text, but allows us for outside influence, meaning that let's say a character is in the story and she hates her mother, but it doesn't go into depth of why or what the reasons behind her hating her mother. So you would ask those questions: where's she getting that from? Could it be that in another part of their relationship that's not mentioned within the framework of the story, that something happened between those two? Will it be something that they can maybe reconcile at the end of the story? So as you're questioning, again, it's allowed the student and the person to engage. It's all about that engagement, and it makes it create also an emotional connection. That's another key thing that kind of ties all these things together. Sometimes you have to have an emotional connection to what you're reading in order to fully be present. So family, these are just some of the 5 things that good readers do. Again, if you have any questions, definitely leave a comment down below. And I thank you for your time and have a good one.